Okay guys, this is round 2, so we're going to do the orange one now. And what we're doing today is we're going to be installing the Club 5 aluminum servo relocation for the front bumper mount for the Gen 8. So like me, I got a lot of stuff on this thing. So what we're going to do is pull out the front bumper here in a second. Let me show you something. So you know how the servo is like right here in front of the bumper, the dents on this guard. If that hadn't been there, probably would have broke off this part. So we're taking the bumper plate or mount out, set that over there. Now we got to do the servo, so we're going to flip this thing over, and then we'll start with that. So what is next is to undo the servo. What's going to happen now, we'll take the servo, we'll pick it up and take it out of there. We're going to set it to the side, and then we're going to take our brand new plate here, part number, and of course it comes with all the hardware we're going to need. So I'm going to take and cut one end open, and I'm going to dump it. Actually, I'm going to dump it into, I thought I had an empty one. I did. I'm going to dump it into one of my empty containers here, so that way, in case I don't use all of them, I'll have spares. So I got them in there. Now, this is going to take the place of the servo. Okay, so we're putting the screws in where the servo was mounted, and we're gonna get this all in place. It's not a really hard install at all. The biggest thing is that this doesn't just slide in. You're gonna have to force the chassis to spread a little bit to get it in place, which is fine because the cross member technically was the servo. And now it's going to be this new part here, and nice and tight. And we got one more that's got to go in here. And I mean, other than the outer screws here that we got to put back in here, this is pretty much done. Now we just got to do the servo. So what we're going to do now is I got to remove the servo horn, because it's completely in the wrong position, and it's also going to be out of alignment until we start the truck back up. Loosen this up. Take this horn off, and put it over here for now.
Food in the microwave is for Nathaniel and Michael.
Alright, so we got the servo in position. Thing I did have to do is I did have to go back in and cut some zip ties to get the wire, because I did have to disconnect the servo, because you have to run the wire through it before you can bolt it on. So, not a big deal, as long as you got zip ties to put back in place, which I do. I have plenty of zip ties. Where'd you go? I'm going to do. So this was bolted here and it's made too long, so I'm going to put a long bolt through and through here, mount this, stack it on top of this one, and that'll make it long enough to meet the servo horn. Just going to have to spin this and adjust this a little bit. Well, the good news, hopefully this will fit. It's a good thing to hang on to these little plastic trees with these little parts like this. This one's got a little bit of a turn to it like this one. So what we need to do is remove this end and replace it. That's a good thing about get something from Axial or one of those places like that, or our builder's kit. You got extra parts you can hang on to. So that's the good thing. Be right back. Change that out, and I think that's going to work. Now it still looks like we're a little bit too long here. Now this horn is going to go way back like this. So this is going to be like this. So we're going to need to do some changing. This is actually hitting a little bit too. Definitely need a shorter arm. Let me go see if I can find one. So what you're going to notice right here is that this is not straight, and that's because this is too long. All this is discombobbled. I ended up taking out the part for here that you screw the link onto, just because it's plastic and I didn't want it to break, so I put a knuckle in, a little small section here, but it's still too long. If I take that out, it's going to be too short. So basically this will end up being towed in, and this is not going to be any different, and I don't have enough pieces here to change that out. So I'm going to go ahead and get the steering links for Club 5 for this truck, and we'll change it out. I mean, right now it's functional. I mean, look, it's steering and it's doing pretty good. So I don't see that to be a major problem other than aesthetics, but other than that, it is what it is. So anyway, that is it for the install of the Club 5 links, and we're going to, like I said, get the I said links, the Club 5 Club servo relocator. So that's it for that. So we got it all in there, looking good. Just gonna need to get that fixed and changed over. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, have fun with RCs. Okay guys, you know how sometimes you accidentally will cut a wire like I did right here. Like I did right here. So what I'm going to do is, since all the other casings are in good shape, I don't need to shrink wrap this individually. I'm just going to shrink wrap the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back together with a little solder. Just hold the wire in position. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of solder on this one. A little solder on this one. And we're going to push this down like such. And I'm just going to put a little bit of heat to this. Set for a second and burn my fingers. And it's back together. Yeah, it's a little blobbier and I like it, but it's back together. Not a lot of deep surgery there. So now we just got to put a little shrink wrap, it touching. So I'm just going to put this shrink wrap over top. Go down a little bit where you can identify the wires at a later date, so you're not plugging it in the wrong position. And we're going to shrink wrap it. And there it is. So now it's got a cover on it. I don't have to worry about it touching. And I just saved myself from ruining a perfectly good servo. So there it is. A little quick soldering 101. Thanks for watching.